Hi folks, Rusty here, average guitar picker. Welcome to the video. This one is number 2 in my very occasional series, Travis picking. Obviously this follows on from number 1, which is still available on this channel. If I'm going to be honest, it's not one of my greatest videos, but it does cover the basics. So if you're new to this kind of stuff, it's probably worth a look, although it is a little bit boring. The playing's shaky even by my low standards, and I'm not sure about that blue cardigan either. But anyway, if you are new to the Travis picking, it's probably worth a look. But we'll take all that as read. So I dealt with things like what to wear on your thumb, how to dampen the bass strings, getting that alternating bass going, and I left it at the point where you can sort of go like this. So there I was just using those 3 chords in E, A7th and D7th, B7th I mean, sorry. Right, so cowboy chords, the kings of chords in my view, they're brilliant. By which I mean the ones down the bottom of the neck here. So never forget them. They are, after all, the foundation on which everything's built, I think, anyway, that's my view. But where Travis picking seems to diverge from like Piedmont blues and that kind of thing, is when you start getting up the neck. So let's have a look today at some things you can do up the neck. And please bear in mind, I'm not trying to put myself forward as an expert picker. I'm just a learner like you, and I'm just showing you some of the things I've learned so far. Okay, and also bear in mind, this is hard stuff to play, I think. So anytime you see a YouTube and it says, become a Travis picking master in 90 seconds, you know, it's bullshit, to be honest. It's hard stuff. But anyway, like most things in life, if it's worth having, it takes a bit of getting. Anyway, so getting up the neck. Here's a 12 bar in G, and I'm going to use 2 shapes that I haven't looked at yet. So let's have a try at it. Okay, so the 2 shapes I'm using there are this one, which I've called the bar shape, because it's based on that bar chord, right? You've probably seen that one loads of times before. I've got a little diagram here as well, actually, and don't worry, because I'm going to show you all these diagrams again at the end of the video. So it's based on that bar shape, and the thing is, instead of barring straight across like that, you're just barring the top strings and you're bringing over the thumb, your left thumb. We're going to get the left thumb involved in this one. It's quite a big deal. So it's all the same notes as the bar chord. Now when we start trying to add a little bit of extra stuff with the little finger, I'm going to have to leave out the A string because my ring finger isn't big enough to cover both of those strings, so I'm just going to mute the A string. That's not going to be involved. So the bass is alternating between 2 root notes. That's on the 6th and 4th strings. You can't see me. There we are. Right, and basically I'm mucking about with my little finger in much the same way as I did in E for the 9-pound hammer example, but so again we've got those kind of notes. That kind of stuff. And the other shape is the 9th shape, and I think in that example I actually played it 2 different ways. So here's the diagram for what that's worth. Let's get it in there. Again, don't worry, I'll show you all these again at the end. So I was using that on the C and the D. And there's two ways to play it. You can either do it the traditional way like this, which is good, and or you can bounce the bass like that, or I learned this one from a Tom Bresh video, and he's actually Merle Travis's son, so he should know what he's talking about. And he likes to do it like this, which is a bit more difficult, but it does have the advantage that you're covering the bottom string as well. So it's exactly the same shape, just different fingering. And that has the advantage that that bottom string is covered, so if you miss with your right thumb and hit the bottom string, doesn't matter. In fact, you can even do it deliberately and it's fine. And it does give you a little bit of a better reach with that little finger as well. So you can do that. But I'm still sort of getting the grips with that. So occasionally you'll see me just do it the old fashioned way as well, just through force of habit. So either of those is fine. So that's all I was doing there, just 12 bars using those two shapes. G, C ninth, and D ninth. Now, just because we're playing in G for 4 bars for this 12 bar, you don't have to stay down here. Why don't I put in a G ninth as well on bar 4 perhaps? So there's that ninth shape. Up the neck it's a bit more difficult to do it that way, so I do tend to do it the old-fashioned way. What I'm calling the old-fashioned way anyway, when we get up there. So and then also, why not put in a C with the bar shape? So that in that case it would sort of go okay. So that's the kind of things you can do just using those two shapes, the bar shape and the ninth. Okay, I think that'll do for chapter 1. Let's pause there. Alright, so the next one I want to show you, and all these chords are movable by the way, so you can use them in any key, is what I've called a triangle shape. And there's the diagram. Don't forget, I will show you all these again at the end. And I'll let the camera linger so you can do a bit of a screenshot as well. I've made a rubbish collage of them all. Now, I've called it the triangle shape because it's based on this D triangle shape here. So I like to play the D like this anyway, barring with the index finger. So we've got, alright, and then I'm going to add that third there, so it's now, and also add that F sharp down the bottom, another third. So we've got loads of thirds here, but really it's still a D. And again, that A string is muted. Okay, so there's one you can use. Now if I'm doing a G, you'll have heard that one. So there's my triangle shape, and it's now a G. So again, we can switch between bar shape, triangle shape, ninth, all G's. Alright, so that's the triangle shape. Now, allied to that, there's another one called, which I've called the triangle seventh. So if you imagine the D seventh, that's another triangle. So all it is this D with that root note dropped down 2 frets to make it a seventh. Now for this one, if you want to make it movable, in G, there's my triangle up here. It's there. Bit of a tricky one. You can't really use the bottom string on this one, not the way I'm playing it anyway. So we've got the just using those 5 strings there. And I've found that if you're doing 5 root, 5 root instead of the other way around, it doesn't really matter. Just for a bar or two, you're okay. Okay, so now we've got bar shape, 9th shape, triangle shape, triangle 7th shape. So you can mix all those up. So for this style, I think basically what you need to do is bear in mind what chord you're playing over in any particular song, and then you can just switch between positions and mess around. Okay, so that's the next one. Let's take a break here. I'm going to get some coffee. Lovely coffee. Look what I got from my brother. Off my brother for Christmas. Hilarious, eh? Right. So, I'm going to play another couple of rounds of 12 bars here, and I'm going to add a couple extra shapes. And then I'll show you what they are, and that'll be it. So... Okay, right, so not brilliant, but good enough to show you what I'm doing. All right, so let's have a look at those new shapes. One of them I've called the double thumb 6th, and that's based on this bar chord here, which in this case is a C. All right, but instead of doing the bass strings with your index finger, you're doing it with the thumb. So it's got the 6th there in the top as well. So the ring finger's covering all those 4 strings. If you just want to do the major chord, you can just mute the top string. So, right. So that's that one. Whoa, it is difficult. Switching there between the 6th and the 9. Whoops, 9th, where is it? There it is. Other one I did was yet another 9th. So over the C, there's my bar shape there. Now, instead of doing root note on the 4th string, I'm dropping it down to a 7th and adding on a 9th there, so it goes mute. Alright, now that one up here I'm playing over the D, and I've called that one the weird 9th, and it's based on this one you can do over G, which goes okay, and all that one is thumb on the 3rd, mute, then 1st fret, 2nd fret, and those 2 are open, and you can bounce up and down with that finger there. So that's dead useful over G, but if you want to move it up the neck though, it becomes a bit more difficult. You've got to switch the finger in to that and get ready to use your index finger there. So it's easy enough over E, because you're right up here, then you can use the bass string. If you want to do it in D though, there's the D ninth, but you've got to thumb the bass note now. I find that pretty difficult. If you've got bigger hands than me, hopefully you won't find it so tricky. And of course it does get more difficult the further down the neck you get. See, this kind of thing. That's why we don't use a bar chord, all right? Because you've got the thumb and you can drop underneath. All right, so there's a few ideas for your Travis picking. I'm going to pause it here and then I'll show you the chord diagrams. Just bear with me. Okay, so there's the chord diagrams for you. I'm just going to let the camera linger for a few seconds there so you can take a screenshot if you want. Hang on. There we go, that's a bit better. All right, pause again. Right, so that's pretty much all I've got for you today. I hope that's of some use to you. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And many thanks if you already have. So I hope you make some progress with your Travis picking, and I hope I do as well, to be honest. So anyway, that's all for today. Hope you've enjoyed it. Keep on picking. So long.